Live now? Yep. So, good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Design Review Board and Historic Preservation Commission of the Village of New Paltz. This is our regular November meeting, November 10th, 2025, and we are opening at 7 p.m. Thank you all for being here and for your attention in the last month. Let's go straight to the minutes from October 20th. Did anybody see anything that needs to be corrected?
I did not.
I don't know. I did not. Okay, how about a motion to approve as submitted? George has moved, Stephen has seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, approved. Good. Next, Bill, is there a report? Sure. Come on, thanks for being here.
Hey, Bill. Congratulations, Bill.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah.
First item of business.
So, yes, thank you. There was an election last week and, there'll be a change in makeup of the board of trustees for the village, starting January 1. We'll have, Rich Sudo and Mr. Allen. We'll have, there'll have to be an appointment of one trustee at some point, and then the decision on who's going to be mayor during that period.
Yes.
So, I want to thank you all for your commitment and loyalty to the village of New Paltz by coming to these meetings. It's really a terrific thing, and this is my last meeting because I'll be leaving the village, but still in the village. So I'm certainly available to answer questions you might have related to the village and county business. It's been a very interesting 8 years. Have I done 2 terms? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 terms, yeah. And you've done a lot. I've seen how the commission has grown and adapted well to the circumstances of our village. And I know that's appreciated not only by me, but certainly all the residents here in the village. It's an important thing. Yeah, so there was a very light meeting with the village board last week. Mr. Rogers was out of the country. Very quick meeting, and as a result of that, I couldn't attend the also kind of planning board visit at the same time. But you know, it's we're at a very terrific at a crossroads here in terms of growth in the village, and certainly your expertise will be needed and called upon, particularly when you're looking at the big homework assignment of reviewing the code that Mike has prepared for us.
Which we will do tonight.
Yeah.
At least a major part.
Yeah. But again, you know, I'm still in the village, representing the village. So reach out to me if you have any concerns or questions.
Thank you, Bill.
As you
Great.
move forward.
And thanks for your service to the village and to this board.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it. Glad to have you
It's terrific.
at the county level as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's all important now, these boards and review boards and how the makeup of your community looks like, so. It's a somewhat undervalued, pursuit until something happens.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, until it doesn't go quite to plan, so.
I agree.
Perception, yeah.
Hey, well, very sincere thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, and lots of luck to you.
Yeah, lots of it. Yeah. Great. So updates and discussions. For the first time in my memory, we do not have a case to discuss. So let's go right through the updates and discussions. Kathy, the one that you're probably here to hear about is HPC 2507. The update is very, very brief. At the October meeting, we agreed that I would reach out to Historic Huguenot Street just to kind of hear how they were processing the comments, public comments. I did that. We actually had a meeting set up, and then it ended up not being good for them. And so it was postponed. I reached out again maybe 10 days ago to ask if they wanted to try to meet this week. Did not hear back, but I think I'm understanding that they really need more time and that they're probably going to be at the planning board in January. So I think where we are is the whole thing probably has slowed down a little bit. And I think their next appointment is going to be with the planning board.
So they're not meeting in November, because that was what they announced
No,
previously, so that they are slowing down. Okay,
yeah, I
that's
believe
probably
they
good.
even said they're not, they didn't say they were.
Okay.
And of course, we're not gonna meet in December, so it looks like January 13th, whatever it is, will be our first chance to hear back if they're ready at that point. Any questions around that? I'll just add that I did forward them the 3 appendices that Sarah prepared, so they have in written form a summary of the comments that we had before the meeting. They have the verbatim comments before the meeting. They have summary descriptions of the 20-some comments that we heard at the meeting. And then they have an appendix that is verbatim post-meeting up to October 10th or so, or 20th, whenever we.
I think it was the 15th, October 15th.
That's right. It was a couple of days before our meeting. So up through the 15th, they have everything that we have and in hard copy, or at least in verbal form. Thanks. Any questions about that? Okay. Secondly, railroad siding project update. So there isn't a huge update at all, except that I met with the committee that's trying to move this project along. There's a possibility that they're going to be applying for a grant this month. I now am not sure if they're going to hit that deadline, but I think realistically nothing's going to happen on the ground until spring, with the possible exception of rearranging the track is a little bit dumped in place rather than stacked. And so there may be some work to do that. That's all I have on that. Stop me if you have any questions. Mr. Cook, Historic Huguenot Street report.
Things are very quiet on Huguenot Street this month. So
Nothing further from 1:30.
no action from their architect. I guess your folks are just, your dad said he was gonna order some windows or something.
Oh, yeah, he's getting window pricing from a few different,
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
So depending on what he's pricing, I think it was the Marvin windows or Anderson windows that were in the drawings, he's pricing that, as well as a few alternatives. So whatever he decides to do, if it's different than what was approved, we'll just come back and just get an amendment on
That'll
it.
be an easy.
Yeah.
His permit's open.
Yes, yeah.
So there's that's great. Village code changes discussion. I think we may want to just come back to that. That's actually kind of a discussion item, and maybe we'll get through some of the short ones. Item number 5, so I'm just going to bracket forward for a moment. Item number 5 is just to let you know that I did send a letter forward to the planning board after we had our discussion about 85 North Chestnut. I did hear from Mohammed the next morning, who I think correctly said the letter suggested another review in this room, and I corrected that. Our agreement was we agree in principle, and we will talk about things like the lighting posts and the width of the columns for the entry and a couple of other little landscaping type things. So I made that clear, resent the letter and made it clear that that was a agreement down to the details. And at some point, once they, get further along, we can reach out and have that kind of conversation. Sarah, do you have handy the DRB? Actually, it should be here, 2512. For some reason, I didn't have that.
Oh, the number.
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
which is
It's 2512.
Right.
That's okay. That's good. Mr. Seafried, anything you know about where we were with the bank renovation?
I assume that a committee is still open.
It is.
There's still work going on,
Yeah, I confirm.
and the gym has opened.
Okay,
I don't see the credit union doors open yet. It seems to be people still working in there.
okay,
But the whole parking lot has been paved and the landscaping has been done and the place looks beautiful. They did a really nice job.
They
did
did.
a really good job. What a nice example of, listening to the input of this board.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, okay. 222 Main Street, again, Mr. Seafried, anything?
Well, it's, the place seems to be completed. Again, I don't know if their building permit has been closed, but it's completed outside. I don't think the landscaping is completed.
It may be,
Yeah, all the siding, windows and all the ramps and doors, and they're open for business and
yeah. As far as I can tell, I was in there briefly. It looks like they worked from the inside out.
yeah.
So, yeah, good. Yeah, I suspect the permit is still open, but probably our role is finished. Item number 8, 250th anniversary planning with the town of New Paltz. So I went to much of the last meeting. It was held on Zoom. And now I just have to get my notes. Basically, it was productive. Our role was pretty small. Again, emphasize that there are basically 3 things that we can contribute: the art show, Bill Rhodes lecture under our auspices, and thirdly, I promised an unspecified but small amount of printing if needed, like some of our budget go to that. I do like the shape that this is taking. So the committee is not trying to compete with the other 250th anniversary things that are undoubtedly going to be going on. And so it's got a very local focus. It's kind of like New Paltz across the years in recognition or celebration of the 250th. So I think we can anticipate that there'll be lectures, walking tours, events for kids, probably, almost certainly Mohonk and historic Huguenot Street would get involved. So I think it'll be good. What I would probably anticipate is that there'd be kind of a calendar of events, like a lot of festive type of things that go over several weeks. And people can just see them and choose them. That'll be great. And good occasion for like cross promotion when that happens. People go to event A, learn about event H and put it on their calendar. So I think that's going in a good direction. Draft code revision for HPC. I think that really is a done item at this point. We are going to be talking about village code changes that may have some knock-on effect for HPC code, but we'll see later tonight. Shane, this thing that we can never get to. Oh my gosh. Action.
It's basically just the Secretary of the Interior guidelines with like a few small edits. I felt like their format was really good, it's like recommendations, not recommended, it was very clear, so we could talk about it later.
That sounds great. That's a single copy, not one for the.
This is just a single copy.
Yeah, so we'll get, thank you for pushing that forward. That's the thing that always falls
I know.
off my way. Okay, so we'll get back to that maybe after number 4. CLG annual report. When we did the agenda, it was expected. It came a day or 2 later, and this is what it looks like. It's about a 3-page document. It's pretty straightforward, but I was hoping we could take a couple of minutes to talk about what you would like me to put in a couple of sections. So, Sarah, if you can possibly make that a little bigger and then just slowly scroll That's great. So, Sarah, the thing that I was hoping you'd say yes to, and you did, the list of current commission board members with contact information and resumes, that's gonna be an exact duplicate of last year, so we can attach that.
Okay.
No revisions. You know, I wrote that today saying there are no revisions, but in fact, there were some tweaks within the last year, so I think I have to go back and describe those. We did some, the thing that's referenced in item 9, we did actually talk about this.
So I'm getting back to, the board members, no Michael Zillo.
Oh, good point. Yeah, we'll have to take micro off. Yeah, thank you. But subtracting is a lot easier than that. Yeah. Then we had 10 monthly meetings. I did confirm that we never had an absence of quorum. Thankfully. Thank you all for that. Training, Sarah, if you can just scroll.
Yeah.
This is where you've been keeping a bit of a list.
A bit of a list. I've only received training from Camilla. I don't think, did anyone else send me Stephen, did you send me something? Am I thinking of maybe?
These would be webinars that you might have.
I'm doing them on Wednesday, both.
Okay,
Good morning, so I'll have.
Okay, that's great.
It's,
okay.
That's good.
Great.
Shane, are there any professional things you've attended in the last year that have any bearing on HPC?
I don't think so. I'll have to check through my calendar. No, I don't think so. I mean, there's a few like classes that we do like in our office for like AIA credits,
That's kind of what I was thinking.
but I don't think any really related to the to historic preservation, but maybe I'm forgetting one. I'll go back
Okay.
and check.
Yeah, the period, it's a weird fiscal year. It's from October 1 through September 30th. So it's like third quarter start, which always messes me up because we don't think in that fiscal year at all. So yeah, if anybody has stuff to report, it could go to Sarah just as fast as possible.
Yeah.
In theory, this is due on the 15th. And we probably can do that if we have all the info.
This is due the 15th of November.
Yeah.
oh, I would have had it by then.
No, but we can either be late or, no, you won't have a certificate.
Yeah.
But if you've done them, we can report them, like on your word. So that would be good. So Sarah, we'll watch for a message from George. We'll just assume that is gonna happen. And then, the other question is actually kind of a big one. Like, do we feel that we would want somebody from SHPO to do a conference call with us, come to the meeting, answer specific queries?
What do you think, Shane?
I mean, I guess I don't see why it would hurt, but I'm just wondering what,
Like, what it would, we'd have to.
what it would be, yeah.
Well-
I mean,
Yeah, one of the things on my mind, so I continue to think that if the town and the village merge, we really would be well served if the downtown district were protected, like another Huguenot Street. And I think that SHPO might help us figure out how to make the case or just administer that kind of change.
yeah,
So I did
that's true.
say something about that a little bit further down.
Sounds good.
Okay. You on board with that, George? Yes. Okay. So should help with, let's call it consolidation. It may not truly be that. Sarah, can you keep scrolling? So we did not do a resources survey. And really, it's not an expectation every year. You sort of do one and then you know what but you have.
And our sidewalks were the year before.
Oh, I think they were, but that's a great question. So that's question 3. I think they might be within the year, that year. Thank you for thinking that, Steve. We did not do any landmarking or local districts, that's for sure. But I think you are right about
Yeah, the sidewalks were, March 2024.
March 20, no, so
Okay,
it's for this
24.
year.
Okay.
It's amazing how the months just.
Yeah.
So no new designations and then design review. Sarah will have to get that first question needs a number. And so you and I can just look back. That's why those tables that we've
Yeah.
talked about will be so useful eventually.
Mhm.
But, we will list HPC cases we saw in the period, but I think we should also list DRB just as an extra thing. And then they ask if there are any problematic cases, and I can't really think of one that's per se generalizable, but I do feel like we're still figuring out how we interact with the planning board, and it's not a knock on the planning board at all. But what seems to happen is like we will make a set of recommendations, they go up to the planning board as recommendations, the design changes, and then the project moves on, and suddenly you find like you got this ugly railing that you can't get rid of, you know? So I don't really know what the answer is. I mean, I think everybody's acting in goodwill, but the process is slow, messy.
Yeah, it could be the final set of drawings need to come back to us before they issue their approval.
That would be sensible.
Yeah,
And then we could really make sure everything is done the way we want it or recommended.
yeah. And here's a case in point, the project that we saw last month, at 85 North Chestnut. It was a pretty schematic drawing, like we didn't see what the railings could look like. Oh, actually, it's got people roofs.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's not gonna come up, but let's say it had, we wouldn't have known that because the drawing wasn't detailed enough to get down to that level.
No,
So-
well, yeah, and the planning board members, in their defense, they're just gonna say, okay, the design review board gave us them an approval process, and there's so many changes that go on with the plans from that point on, that this would be something totally different.
Yeah,
So I think that's the way for us to,
yeah, I think so. We can also, in our recommendations, kind of signal hard that, you know, this has to happen. Versus, here's a case with the hotel on Water Street. You know, we approved a driveway design or, you know, of the driveway in a design. And then like it didn't meet fire code or it presented potential problems for fire engines, like. We're not gonna overrule that, but it'd be nice to know that
Yes.
that had to change and why. Okay, so final set of drawings before.
final approval.
Final approval. That's really good. I don't think we've had any problems. I mean, please tell me if you think there's something to list here, but I don't think we have administrative procedure problems or enforcement problems or Sarah, thanks to you, no staffing problems. We have enough budget. The village board is supportive of our work. Like, it's nice to be able to say no problem. I don't see anything. What about things we're especially happy with and proud of? Would the bank building be one such thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I would also, say that Harmony Hall is a success.
Sure.
Again, like the goodwill of the developer coming back to us for some details. Okay. Um, I guess in a more general way, some of the North Chestnut Street projects, I think we've improved them. I'm thinking, Shane, of that, discussion you opened up about where the bulkhead for the, stairwell
Oh,
was
yeah.
placed, and we pulled it back from the edge. That was something you spotted. Would anybody object if I just said in a general way, we feel like we've had a positive influence on development in North Chestnut?
Yeah. No, I think that's right.
Okay.
I would also say that, Partners in Preservation is a success.
I would too.
I mean, that's something it involves the community in a very interesting way and resonates.
I agree. And it's almost no cost. I mean, it's so minimal, to be honest. Okay, good. Then the other thing, goals and initiatives. So again, this is looking ahead to a possible referendum next November. We've already started a very preliminary conversation about what would happen if village and town merge. I'm just listing that as something that we're on top of. I would also really like to see downtown district locally landmarked. I think it would actually remove some of the problems that we're talking about with articulation with the planning board, because we would then have final say. And especially on these rental projects, we're talking about the core of the village. Anybody want anything else listed there? So we don't really have a tax incentive program. I would really like to look into that.
It would be nice.
Boy, it would be nice to have a carrot.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do have under number 8, we do have that revolving loan program, but we just never have anybody apply on the basis of historic preservation. Maybe we can promote that a little harder. I don't even know what's in that fund right now. But we didn't get any applications. We don't acquire property. I don't even think we have a structure to do like easements. I'm not aware of anything. Anybody think of anything else that you're trying to report? I mean, it's a pretty basic thing. It's not an onerous, but. Well, I can't really either. So let's call that. At least it's in pretty good shape, and I think we can finalize it by the end of the week. Stipend policy number 12. I have been in touch with the treasurer. I've communicated that we all want to donate it back. I think she said that they actually can't do it until the new calendar year, maybe, or something about that. Yeah, but like at earliest opportunity, we've all voted to put that in our budget, and I expect what it will do is help with the art show. Thank you all for giving back. You're already giving your time, and it's great to have that. Budget's in great shape. We're like 42% through the year. We've only expended 12%, so no budget problems there. Any other business before we move back to 4 and 10? Was there anything you specifically wanted
No.
to share? Okay,
Just following along.
here to listen.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. No, appreciate it. So let's look at the village code changes. That's that, multicolored document that we sent along. I'm really impressed with Mike's work on this.
Yeah.
Wow. And I guess I'm just here to. This one. Sarah, would you mind going straight to 212, I think it is? Yeah, design of structures. That is what Mike especially wanted us to look at. I mean, this is just a huge undertaking that he's doing, and it's good from what I can. I think you'll find it on numbered page 76, which is way, way down in the document. That's like here, right here as well. There we go. So he asked us to focus on 212.15 design of structures. I would just love to take notes on anything you wanted to comment on. Do you have some writing on your copy? Anything you wanted to?
Yes. I mean, nothing relevant to the page that we were looking at now.
Okay. Okay, so can we say nothing on 76 from anybody? Yeah, okay. How about on the page that you did have comments?
I guess I just had a few questions, like for the zoning district for the elimination of floodplain F zoning district.
Mm-hmm.
And replaced with overlay FD, which mirrors the FEMA flood zone. So I guess I was wondering how the F district boundaries were originally determined if it wasn't based on the FEMA maps.
Okay,
Because I guess the FEMA maps, I forget how often they're updated, but it seems like there was other information that was cited for that original zoning district, the boundaries for that. So I'm just wondering what that was, and if that is also something that we should also, I don't know, just
great.
reference.
That's in reference to which number?
So it's 4A zoning districts. Oh, so I'm looking at the overview of the zoning code updates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on this sheet.
What page? That's up front?
Yeah, well, on the overview, and then I didn't write down the actual sheet number in the code document, but I read through the code document for each one of these points, and it just wasn't clear to me like how floodplain F was originally determined, that zone. And I don't know, that information might be relevant for
I can definitely raise it. Sarah, in the document, you should be able to do a search. Yeah, if you just type in floodplain, we'll probably get to the page that Shane's got.
Floodplain.
Yeah, PLAIN.
I think it's okay.
I see on page 204,
204.
any containers placed within the FEMA designated 1% annual chance of flooding, aka the 100-year floodplain, FD overlay district shall adhere till flood.
Okay.
Were you?
Well, I guess that's a specific application for.
Portable storage.
Yeah.
Short term.
Shane, I can just ask him.
Yeah.
He'll know where it is in the document.
And then,
Floodplain overlay district.
Yeah,
yeah, so that's the new.
that's Article 11, Steve.
Yeah,
Okay. Do you have a page?
21273, and it's on page 246.
Okay. I'll raise it. I mean, I think there is an answer. And he'll know it.
Yeah, and then. I guess, so the elimination of the R1 zoning district,
Yeah,
I guess it wasn't clear to me unless I missed it, just exactly why that's happening, and. I mean, I assume the goal is to create more density
I think so.
in
Bill,
those,
are you familiar with that? The elimination of the R1 district? What the,
Not, yes, I'm familiar with it. The reasoning is, where are the R1s? So if I have one or two, you eliminate the R1.
yeah, I mean, there's a few areas, I mean, I have the zoning map. I don't know, I mean, I'm not against that move, I guess I was just wondering, what the logic was there and, what the goals are. So,
okay,
Well, you can put single family R2s.
yeah, it's just different, like, requirements for the lot size. So,
That's a good question. Why don't you bring it,
Yeah.
the question to Mike Baden?
yeah, I mean, again, like, I'm not against that move, I was just wondering what, what we were trying to accomplish. So that was another question I had.
It's a good one.
And then for the Waterside district, the W district. What determines those boundaries, like, does that also follow some interpretation of the FEMA map? Because it references, areas that are prone to flooding.
mhm,
So are those lots that are adjacent to the river that are, within the 100-year floodplain? That's that's what I would assume, but I was just wondering how that was determined. Maybe it says it, maybe I missed it, but, so
it
that was,
probably does.
that was those were my questions on the zoning district changes. And I had a few other minor questions. Oh, so for the planning board sign review, like, I guess, where do we fit into that process? And that's, like, I guess that's relevant to the discussion we were just having about,
Yeah,
reviewing the final drawings after they go back to the planning board.
that's a really good question, because it has come up. We find ourselves like weirdly worrying about somebody's logo,
Yeah,
and we shouldn't.
yeah,
I know it's their business logo.
yeah,
But we have helped, and I think actually, the Mexican Kitchen building was one such where we made a specific recommendation to stay away from a certain kind of hole or bracket that didn't,
yeah.
work. So that's great. Who determines and how it's coordinated with, Shane, what section is that? Do you have it handy?
I don't. I read through the overview and then I went and just did Control F in the document to kind of read,
Yeah,
but I didn't write down what sections in the
that's
document.
okay. We can deal with it. Stephen, did you have any?
Design review board doesn't appear very often, but it does appear at one place, discussing, lighting temperature. And this now seems to try to settle on 2700 Kelvin as a standard. Unless otherwise approved by the planning board or design review board. Which after our discussions about the North Chestnut, I think it's very interesting, and I think it's great. I don't have knowledge to know if 2700 K is the best or is most common, or
I mean, my understanding is that it's like the warmest LED light. It's like the closest to incandescent. It's,
that would probably be
Yeah.
attractive.
So
I was just, I thought that
yeah,
note that there's
That's a good coverage.
Yeah.
and it brings
That's
us
great.
in.
And this is a really specific example of this using work that Mike is doing, like, there was no thought when the existing code was written, nobody was thinking about LED
yeah.
temperatures, because you got incandescent function. I will ask Mike where that number comes from. I suspect you're right, that it's just the warmest we can get with
And that's great.
LED. Good. George, did you see anything where?
No.
There's any questions?
I didn't go through it in detail, but the little I read seemed to be,
It's moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I mean,
So what are the next steps on this? Because I didn't read through the entire thing.
no.
So I guess I'm wondering, like, is this our last chance to make, you know, and I have questions or suggestions?
I don't think so. I think that I will actually make sure that this is, especially about something like the paucity of DRB mentioned, so it's, you know, that has to be a conversation. Bill, I understood that this is gonna be a many months.
Yeah, I'll continue into next, well, probably there, but into December, and also we'll have public hearings about it.
Right.
Yeah,
So there'll be that. With respect to the 2700 Kelvin question, Mike Beatty's a lighting designer. so
Oh, okay.
lighting designer.
Oh, he's the guy then.
He's very well.
Oh, yeah,
versed
okay.
in that.
good outputs.
There's also an association. I'm forgetting the name of it, but you know, measuring of luminosity and color ranges and all that sort of things. And he has done a great deal of research with that organization to figure out, you know, what might work best in communities.
That's great, okay. So he's
He's gonna. have a
the
good-
authority on
He's
it.
gonna have a good answer.
That's great, perfect.
I think he'll be pleased that we're asking.
Not a random number chosen. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. I had a couple, first of all, I think like the changes that he's suggesting to 25 or 212, 15 are very good. Let's see. I wanted to get your thoughts on number 8. It has to do with screening mechanical, equipment.
Okay.
And Sarah, you'll find this on numbered page 77, which isn't necessarily real page 77.
You want me to use Chat GPT to answer?
There we go. So I think this is totally new section. I applaud it because we've seen a lot of split units, and this is definitely in sync with what we're trying to do, is keep them screened away from, you know, public rights of way wherever possible. But something's come up in my own situation where the installation of the mechanical unit is screened, but still noisy. And I think, you know, so like a 1200 BTU split doesn't make a lot of noise, but whole house ones, which are, you know, big and turns out pretty noisy. I think I'm gonna suggest that we suggest that maybe that should be not only visually screened, but also auditorially or sonically screened as much as possible. I don't know if you all think that's the thing, but you know, in the village, you're often pretty close to the next house.
Yeah, I guess how do we accomplish that?
Well, I mean, I can use the example that I'm thinking of, like there was a point where the installers could put it on a different wall.
Okay, yeah,
You know, keep your noise to yourself rather than make it.
maybe like distance from a neighboring, you know, window or door or something.
Or decibels,
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is what, I mean, for years, the village has tried to legislate bars being noisy by
Yeah.
measuring decibels, and that's proven very difficult.
yeah,
yeah, I mean, decibels are good because it's a quantifiable thing, but in fact, sometimes it's the frequency that the units turn on versus off. Like if you're dead quiet, even an acceptable level of decibel can seem pretty low.
that's a good point.
If people agree, I'll just sort of put the question up to Mike and maybe there's some models for.
Yeah.
how you do this.
I mean, not every place, we had recently, next to the bistro and that little alleyway to.
Yes,
And now there are like 6 splits on the walls to, you know, it's, so not that anyone is in that area, but you turn around and suddenly there are a lot of splits, you know, they make perfect sense in many, many applications, but, things do appear out of nowhere.
they do, yeah. Yeah, okay. So that was, what was it, item 8, you said? Yeah. So I thought that might be an improvement. Maybe on item 10, probably somewhere in the code is what defines rear of a property. It's usually the, line established by the front edge of the house, anything behind that. But maybe ask for that to be defined. On the next page, 78, item 3. So the way this is written is, this is sort of following the logic of we don't want a lot of monotony to buildings. And it's limited to commercial facades of more than 100 feet in length. And I'm thinking about what like a 90-foot uninterrupted residential building would look like, and I don't think it would look very good. So I guess I'm suggesting in item 3, maybe we urge for that number to be lower and for it to apply to residential as well as commercial. I don't know, what do y'all think?
Yeah, 100 feet's a lot.
It's a lot. I mean, is there some architectural thinking about this, Shane, like for a context like New Paltz? Is there some like rule of thumb where a wall or some details should change so that you don't get 100 or even 80 feet?
You know, I don't know. It's a good question, dude. Honestly, like at my job, we work mostly on like apartments and like single family houses. Like I haven't worked on like a building that size, but I would think it's probably just, you know, like design, you know, just just kind of like a design choice, you know. I don't know. I mean, I think I like the way it's written. I think it's, you know, I think that,
Yeah, it gets at the
yeah.
thing you're trying to achieve.
I mean, I guess 100, it's hard to quantify like what the awkward amount of straight uninterrupted facade is like, because 100 feet, I mean, it seems like a lot, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what the right number is.
I don't know. I
You
don't
know?
really know. I mean, I know that like the stuff on North Chestnut that we've been reviewing,
Mhm.
you know, basically the designs have already come with some pretty good differentiation.
Yeah,
But some of those are like 140, 180 feet
yeah,
long, and if you imagine 100 feet of uninterrupted, it seems pretty. I can just raise it with Mike, you know, if we agree that it's worth discussing, then I'll just. Raise it, I mean,
Yeah, I guess if someone came in with something that long that wasn't pleasing to our eyes, then we could suggest, but
right,
we don't
Break it
have,
up.
I mean, this is all
don't have any
under
foundation.
preferences anyways, is that, you know, but it,
Really ask for it, they don't have to do it.
also like there's other architectural moves you could do to make the facade more interesting besides, like this might be boxing the architect into like a corner in a way. I mean, like
Yeah.
I understand like the intent, but um I don't know, like on one hand, I like the way it's written, on the other hand, I just wonder if it's like if the interpretation is like too narrow. I don't know. I guess I have to think about it a little bit more.
I think it'd be good to ask Mike about it.
Yeah,
yeah, I think I will. Yeah. I mean, this is all under preferences anyway, but the hope is always like, you know, an architect gets a commission to build something in town, reads this stuff, internalizes it, okay, this is what the community wants. And out of the blocks is coming to us with something that has some thought to it. And then this probably doesn't come up and his or her hands are really tied.
I mean, I guess like as it pertains specifically to roofs, I don't see any issue with the way this is written, you know, like I think. You know, I think probably in every situation, it would be the right thing to break up that long of a roof.
I think so too.
You know, like I guess, just to play devil's advocate, like I'm assuming you could still arrive at a handsome design without doing that. You know, but at the same time, it might be safer to just have that as a general rule of thumb. You know,
I mean, I think it could be a beautiful building in like Washington DC where everything's monumental.
yeah, exactly, that's true, that's a great point.
But, yeah, okay. I mean, the other thing is, what it's really talking about is roofs. And
Yeah.
the roof, the recommendation triggers when the facade is more than 100 feet. So there
Yeah.
are almost two things in play here. We want a facade that isn't monolithic and we want a roof. Maybe, I'll suggest that maybe you break out item 3 into kind of two things, what you do with roofs and what you do with facades. Oh, sorry, facades is part 2. We're good. Everybody, that's all I had. I had a couple little edits, but. So if we were to report back that we like the direction of this and applaud the more detailed approach to these things.
Yeah, it's quite undertaking, as you said.
It really is, yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. That's good. Shane, do we want to talk about those guidelines?
Yeah, I mean, I could circulate them around, it's, you
That
know,
might be a better.
yeah, I mean, I only put in one copy, but it's basically, I just think it's a good format. You know, I think it's very simple to reference, just, you know, recommendations and things, you know, recommendations of things to do and recommendations of things to avoid. I think in terms of like, I think it's very fair in how it can be interpreted, you know, it doesn't box an owner into, you know, a corner of like, okay, great, now I have to do all these expensive windows and materials, and I think there's enough room there to, you know, to allow somebody to like meet these guidelines and, you know, and still, you know, not necessarily crush the project by forcing them to do all these expensive materials. It's all, you know, it's all referencing, the existing conditions of the building, which is, I think, you know, what we generally do.
Yeah, that's
Um,
the line of first.
yeah, you know, not like, oh, as a broad stroke, you know, you need X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, what does the building have? What are the historic elements? How can you carry those forward? And, you know, the materials you use. You know, I think it's,
It's a really good starting point.
yeah,
It's kind of indisputable too, because it's like when Ashland said they.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, why reinvent the wheel, you know? I mean, I think we could comb through it and maybe add or remove things that we think aren't relevant to, you know,
Mhm. Possibly simplified. I mean, it has
yeah,
some advice about like chemicals to use and not use that maybe are a little too in the weeds, but.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
that's
know,
true.
it's-
Yeah, they have a whole section on like cleaning, you know, different types of metals and things like that. I don't know if that's necessary, but I think like the real, you know, nuts and bolts of it, of, you know, how to choose windows, you know, how to choose siding, how to choose just general materials, it's all pretty clear. And it's, you know, I think it makes sense, and it also allows room for, you know, like alternate suitable materials, you know, it's not like, okay, you have to do wood clapboard because that's what you have, it's like, you know, there's like,
So,
yeah, exactly. Hand painted, but it's like, you know, it's, you know, they allow for fair, you know, just alternates to be used.
Which I
So,
love the recommend it and not recommend it.
yeah,
I think
I mean, it's so black and white, right? It's
Yeah.
simple.
That's kind of how the Kingston one was done.
I was
you
gonna
know?
say,
And it was like,
I bring my coffee, but the Kingston one, I think is friendly, and it's like,
Yeah,
do
it's-
this, don't do that.
it's basically a simple version of that, the Kingston one, you know? Which is, I feel like, you know, instead of reinventing the wheel, like, we should probably just, you know, just choose that, you know?
So, it's also pretty consistent when we did this little guy. It has only 9 considerations and it's very friendly. It doesn't even say don't do. It's just that when you think about signage, think about where you are. Think about signs next to it. So I think anything we did with those would be consistent with what we're doing.
What this also has is like, this has like best practices. You know, like use corrosion resistant like roof fasteners, like I don't know if that necessarily needs to be in our guidelines, but it is a good thing for the owners to do and to know.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe, I don't know, maybe that's pulled out into a separate thing, or maybe not, maybe it's just left in there, or maybe there's a separate recommendation for, you know, I guess, I don't know, the more detailed. No, maybe not, but I thought that was interesting, because like I didn't see that in the Kingston one.
You know, you could do stuff with typography too, where like you bold the first half of the list. And you
Yeah.
don't bold, you know, major things, minor
Yeah,
things.
Yeah, definitely.
Details.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
The corrosion resistant nails, I'm thinking, I heard about something, Stephen, was it Elton? That had a roof failure, no, that was.
Elton's got some roof problems.
But it wasn't somebody was telling me that non-corrosion resistant nails were used on a really sensitive area, like a stupid shortcut that a contractor took and something failed. I thought it was a roof.
They're having definite problems with their roof,
That's brutal.
and it's a huge roof,
Yeah, and a big expense.
and their insurance is going up because the roof is in bad shape, thousands of dollars.
All way of saying these are good things. Shane, that sounds great. Would you mind circulating?
Yeah,
those?
sure.
If you you mentioned that you had some edits in mind. If you want to suggest those or.
Yeah, sure, and you know what I'll do is I'll use the same format where I'll just put my language in like a different color.
Yeah.
You know,
That's great.
and I think that'll, you know, that'll make it
Yeah, that would be great.
easy to read.
It's very easy now. Thanks, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And a nice surprise. I gotten so used to saying no.
I think it's
So if there's no other business, let's entertain a vote to go into executive session. Kathy, what this means is that we're gonna go private.
Absolutely.
Thank you for attending. It's
Thank you
really,
for all you do. I sent you an email because I just quickly did a Google search for sound attenuation for mini splits. There's lots of ideas.
okay, great,
And it just, I thought, well, I won't read the whole thing. I'll just send it to your email.
perfect.
Thank you.
That's really,
There's simple things that can be done at Borough Mats and stuff.
okay. Yeah, because it's, you know, it's a growing
Oh, yeah.
thing.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Good
much.
night.
Have a good
Thank you.
evening.
I move we go to executive session.
Okay. Second. So moved, seconded, all in favor. So